Sorry, before you start, I want you to take note of fallacy. Just FYI. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning everyone. So today our group will be presenting about fallacy. So the first one is, what is fallacy? So basically fallacy is mistake in reasoning. So it is a flawed argument that establishes a faulty connection between premises and conclusion. So fallacy appears to support their conclusion, but the appearance can be deceived. Fallacies, this is another definition from different books. Fallacies are errors in reasoning where irrelevant information is used to support a statement. So we need to avoid this mistake because it is critical for critical thinkers. So the openness to fallacies often stem from the cognitive biases. So we make fallacies often by cognitive biases, which can be from the authority figures or an exaggerated statement that can influence our acceptance of weak reasoning. There are also emotional factors like desire, fear, and greed can cloud judgment, make us vulnerable to the fallacies, make us believe in that statement. So it is essential to distinguish between non-evidential persuasion and genuine evidence in critical thinking. So if you fail to make this distinction, it can lead to fallacies reasoning. So there are rhetorical persuasive language can be misled, causing us to assume unsupported claims that have evidence. So every fallacy relies on identifiable hidden assumption. So avoid dismissing legitimate arguments as fallacies based on superficial resemblance. For example, the leader of the opposite argued that morals in our country are going in the wrong direction. Then she was caught having an affair with a man 30 years her junior. So much for her argument. So here, these are the fallacies here. Then she was caught having an affair with a man 30 years her junior. Doesn't mean because she was caught having an affair, doesn't mean the moral in the country was wrong because of her affair. That doesn't mean that. Next. So it's important to differentiate between fallacies and factual error. Factual error, they occur when the information presented is incorrect or not in line with reality. For example, so fallacies involve mistaking in reasoning. For example, like all birds can fly. Penguins are birds, therefore penguins can fly. That doesn't mean penguin is bird. That doesn't mean they can fly, right? So here is the fallacies. So fallacies, we have two types, which is formal and informal. Formal fallacy is an argument whose form is invalid. Any argument that has invalid form will automatically be invalid, regardless of the meaning of the sentence. An informal one is an error in reasoning the content of the argument. It can lead to incorrect conclusion and can be persuasive to those who aren't aware. Need deep understanding for the concepts involved in the arguments. So let's take a look at the example. So formal fallacies, we have denying antecedents. So denying antecedent is assuming the first statement, which is the antecedent, is false. And then the second part, which is the consequent, must be also false. For example, if I'm in Paris, then I am in France. But now I am not in Paris, therefore I'm not in France. Doesn't mean because she or he is not in Paris, doesn't mean she also not in France. Like that. Next, the affirming the consequences, which is incorrectly assume that the second part, which is the consequences, is true, then the first part also must be true. For example, if it's raining, then the ground is wet. And then the ground is wet, therefore it is raining. Doesn't mean that the ground is wet, it's raining. It can be another reason. So that's all for me.
Next, we move on to informal fallacy. There are four, which are composition fallacy, division fallacy, begging 5. Composition fallacy, division fallacy, begging the question, false dichotomy, equivocation. Okay, the first fallacy, which is composition fallacy. This fallacy occurs when someone assumes that a property shared by individual parts of something must apply to the whole. For example, each member on the gymnastics team weighs less than 110 pounds. Therefore, the whole gymnastics team weighs less than 110 pounds. This argument commits the composition fallacy because in the composition fallacy, one argues that since each part of the whole has a certain feature, it follows that the whole has that same feature. Okay, next example. Every part of the car is made of plastic. Therefore, the whole car is made of plastic. This conclusion does follow from the premises, so there is no fallacy in this statement. As we can see, both arguments have the same form, which is every part of X has the feature F, therefore the whole X has the feature F. Same form, but different content. Next is division fallacy, which is opposite to the composition fallacy. It happens when someone assumes that what is true for a whole must also be true for its parts. For example, the house costs $1 million, therefore each part of the house costs $1 million. The argument is a fallacy because that it doesn't mean that if the house costs $1 million, therefore each part costs $1 million. Next example. The whole team died in the plane crash, therefore each individual on the team died in the plane crash. This argument does not commit the division fallacy because we seem to be referring to one plane crash in which all of the members of team died. Next, begging the question fallacy. It occurs when an argument's premises assumes the truth of the conclusion. One of the common forms for this fallacy is circular reasoning. Let's take a look at the example. Capital punishment is justified for crimes such as rape and murder because it is quite legitimate and appropriate for the state to put to death someone who has committed such heinous and inhuman acts. Because denotes the premise and conclusion of the argument. In standard form, the argument is this: it is legitimate and appropriate for the state to put to death someone who commits rape and murder. Therefore, capital punishment is justified for crimes such as rape and murder. Thus, the premise is the false dichotomy. It involves presenting only two options as if they are the only possibilities. False dichotomy also involves ignoring alternatives and oversimplifying a complex issue. For example, either you support this policy or you are against progress. This creates a false impression that there are only two options, while in reality we have other options. Next example, in a speech made on April 5, 2004, President Bush made the following remarks about the causes of the Iraq War. Saddam Hussein once again defied the demands of the world, and so I had a choice. Do I take the word of a madman? Do I trust a person who had used weapons of mass destruction on his own people plus people in the neighborhood? Or do I take the steps necessary to defend the country? Given that choice, I will defend America every time. So the statement, the false dichotomy here is the claim that either I trust the word of a madman or I defend America by going to war against Saddam Hussein's regime. The problem is that these are the only options. The president can opt out for ongoing diplomacy and economic sanctions. So this argument is a false dichotomy. And the last one is equivocation. It involves using a term or a phrase in different senses within an argument, leading to a misleading confusion. So we can ignore the alternatives and oversimplify a complex issue. For example, a pound of feathers is light, therefore nothing made of feathers can be heavy. In this context, light is used to mean lacking in weight or lacking in color or intensity. Next example, children are a headache. Aspirin will make headaches go away. Therefore, aspirin will make children go away. This is a silly argument, but it illustrates the fallacy of equivocation. Headache is used equivocally in two different senses, figuratively and literally. The argument is successful if the meaning of headache is the same in both premises. That's all from me. Now to the next question.
Okay, let's take a look at types of fallacies. Okay, I will explain the fallacies of language. Okay, what is fallacy in the language context? Okay, FOL is the language is used in a way that is misleading or confusing. In other words, it is an error in reasoning that arises from the misuse or ambiguity of language. There are four types of FOL. First, equivocation. Second, accent. The equivocal, and last, ambiguity. Okay, just Michelle explained it now. Okay, the equivocation is a type of logical fallacy that occurs when someone distorts their opponent's argument by oversimplifying or exaggerating it. In other words, it is use of a word or phrase with multiple meanings in an argument, leading to confusion or ambiguity. Essentially, the person using the equivocation fallacy pretends to argue against their opponent's original position, while in reality they have created a distorted version of that position, one that their opponent doesn't necessarily support, then that is easy to rebut. Okay, for the example, the meat is healthy and beef burger contains beef meat. Therefore, beef burger is healthy. Do you agree with that? But my doctor say it is not healthy. What can you say about this?
Doctor is wrong.
Why? Okay, let's take let's make the explanation. Okay, in this example, the word meat is used in two different ways. One, a main food group that are generally considered healthy, and second, the meat used to make a burger is a processed food which is not healthy at all. You understand? Why? Who said that? Why? Can you explain?
I don't understand this.
Okay, why you said that beef meat is healthy? What do you understand of this? Yeah, meat.
Okay, I understand now.
Protein, right? But processed meat is healthy.
Yes.
Why? It doesn't contain protein at all, or maybe less, but it's not healthy. Why? Because what's called salt and sodium. Okay, let's next. Okay, the example 2. All trees have bark. Every dog barks. Therefore, a dog is a tree. Do you agree with that?
No.
Why?
A dog is an animal.
Yeah, important fallacy. Okay. Okay, that is for the explanation. In this example, the word bark leads to ambiguity and confusion for some people who are not fluent in English because it has two meanings. First, bark, tree skin, and second, bark means the sound dog make. Okay, second is accent. What is accent in FOL context? Okay, it is the use of emphasis or stress to change the meaning of a sentence or phrase. The idea that a person's accent can be used to make assumptions about their intelligence, education level, and socio-economic status. It is a type of logical fallacy that occurs when the use of language influences how we interpret an argument. So far, do you understand about this? Okay, Pana, I want to ask you. Okay, imagine you are having a first date with your boyfriend.
Woo!
You guys open and talk to each other, and suddenly he confessed to you. Then he said, "I love you." Okay. For your opinion.
Tapi dah boyfriend.
Huh?
No.
Just imagine.
Alright.
Okay, the word "I love you." Okay. Which word that you want him to emphasize?
Love.
Why love? Why not you?
For me,
Maybe the only person that he love. You are the only he can love. But why you choose love?
for me, I chose love because when it is a date between me and him, right? So there are only two person at the time, me and him. So I would like to emphasize the word love to show the emotions that he felt towards me.
Okay, if you say so, but is that apa pula? Okay, how about you are an overthinking person? Then you say, is it me only? What if you have another woman? That's why I said maybe the emphasize word may lead to another meaning. Okay. Let's take a look at example. I didn't say you ate my cake, Bob. Okay, I want to call someone's name. Rashidi, can you help me? Can you help me to read this out?
First sentence.
All. But you emphasize the highlighter word.
Try. I didn't say you ate my cake, Bob. I didn't say you ate my cake, Bob. I didn't say you ate my cake, Bob. I didn't say you ate my cake, Bob.
So you see, you think it has different meanings, right?
Yes.
For each sentence. Okay. For the explanation, the meaning changes depending on which word is emphasized. Okay. For the first, I didn't say you ate my cake, Bob. Okay. For this sentence, maybe someone else make a claim. Maybe Bob's housemate said that Bob eat my cake. For the second, I didn't say you ate my cake, Bob. Maybe someone else made the statement about Bob. It's kind of similar, but for the second one, maybe before that I asked Bob, did you eat my cake, Bob? Then suddenly Bob mad at me. So you are accusing me for eating your cake? Then I said, I didn't say you ate my cake, Bob. Maybe I just asked. Okay, what does that mean? I didn't say you ate my cake, Bob. Maybe it implies that someone ate cake, but Bob was accused for the twins. Okay. For the fourth and last, I didn't say you ate my cake, Bob. Implies that Bob might eat something else or didn't eat my food. So far, so good?
Yes.
Okay, for the third one is ambivalent. What is ambivalent? Ambivalent is the use of ambiguous syntax or grammar in an argument, leading to confusion or ambiguity. It is also a type of ambiguity that results from ambiguous grammar as opposed to one that results from the ambiguity of words or phrases that is equivocation. The fallacy of ambivalence occurs when a bad argument trades upon grammatical ambiguity to create an illusion of congruency. Okay, example. Tasha and Alia and Tasha, can you help me?
Tasha, are you free? Let's spill the tea.
What do you mean? I did not understand. My English is bad.
My God.
Oh my God. Okay. For now, can you understand what does Alia mean?
Yes.
Gossip.
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 Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Okay. Let's take a look for an explanation. Okay. Based on the example, this sentence is ambiguous because it is unclear whether stability is a verb phrase or an idiomatic phrase. For the first one, if stability is a verb phrase, then the sentence means
This is Tasha, are you free? Let's spill the tea at the garden because the tea leaves are good for a natural fertilizer for the garden. Understand?
the second one is if the spilled tea is an idiomatic phrase, then the sentence means
Tasha, are you free? Let's spill the tea about Amira. I heard something hot news about her and her new boyfriend, Eric.
wow, Amira, you have a boyfriend? Okay. Spill the tea here is gossip. Okay, for the last one is ambiguity. As we all know what is ambiguity, right?
Yes.
Or maybe someone don't know.
Forgot.
Huh?
Remember.
Forgot about that. Okay, for the definition, ambiguity is the use of a word, phrase, or sentence that carries multiple meanings, causing confusion or misinterpretation. Okay. For the example, there is a situation in the morning where Mr. Fahmi asked his son Reza for the birthday present. Actually, very happy since Mami is absent. I kind of miss pumping right now.
Okay. My dear Reza, what do you want for your birthday?
I want a bag today. I will forget.
What kind of pet species do you want?
What do you mean today?
Okay. What is the ambiguous word that we have here? Why? Okay, based on this example, the word bat is used in two ways. First, a flying mammal. Two is a piece of sports equipment used to hit a ball. Okay, do you understand? So now, for now? Okay, thank you.
Okay, next part is fallacies of relevance. Okay, fallacies of relevance, also known as fallacy of distraction. It is an argument relying on premise that are insufficiently relevant to its conclusion for us to accept the conclusion. So in other words, it is an argument which is no obvious relevant between premise and also conclusion. So these arguments are flawed because the reason provided are irrelevant to the current issue. So people who use this technique with malicious intent are attempting to divert audience attention from the main topic, allowing them to appear to win an argument that they haven't really engaged in. Okay, there are a few types of fallacies of relevance. The first one is ad hominem. So ad hominem is from Latin phrase which is against the man or at the person. So argumentum ad hominem is arguments against the person. So ad hominem is the fallacy which consists of attacking an argument based on claims about the person making the argument opposed its actual content. So do you understand about this? No.
Give example.
Example later. Okay, ad hominem actually we attack the person rather than their argument, what they say. For example, Aiman explained about fallacy. I don't attack about fallacy, but attack him personally. Okay. There are three forms of ad hominem. The first one is abusive, the second one is circumstantial, and the third one is appeal to hypocrisy. Okay, let's look for the abusive. So abusive is suggesting that you should reject a conclusion because the person presenting it has an undesirable quality. For example, he claims that we need to raise taxes, but you cannot trust that coming from someone like him because he had 3 children by 3 different mothers. So, from this example, it implies that we should not trust someone who had 3 children by different mothers because he is not reliable. And we should ignore them, what is it. So, the claims lack logical reasoning as there is no inherent connection between two factors, rising taxes and also 2 children by different mothers. Okay. Okay, these are examples of undesirable quality. The first one is calling your opponent names instead of debating him. For example, during the 2016 Republican primary, Donald Trump created nicknames for his opponents and used to refer to them. And the second one is guilt by association. For example, you said to your colleague, which is, you are not qualified for this position, but you must be related to someone who works here. Okay, the next one is circumstantial. So circumstantial is suggesting that the circumstance of the person making a claim require us to reject everything they say. So it is highlighting an opponent's self-interest in presenting their argument. So they attack an opponent by focusing on their situation. So for example, the first one is you cannot possibly accept her conclusion that vaccination is safe. Okay, look at her job title. She is in the pay of the pharmaceutical lobby. And the next one is MPP claims that UNIZA is the best university in Terengganu. So the students say that they only say that because they can benefit from it. Third one is appeal to hypocrisy. So if appeal to hypocrisy is suggesting that if someone say one thing while doing something different, whatever they say in the area must be wrong. For example, my doctor tell me to eat sensibly and exercise more. What does he know? He is overweight and barely able to walk. Okay, from the example, there is no reason why a doctor who happen to be overweight should be wrong about diet and exercise. So usually people are extremely sensitive to hypocrisy and often judge it harshly. So hypocrites can be entirely correct and irrespective of what they may or may not do themselves. The next one is straw man. Okay, straw man is wrongly presenting opponent's point of view by exaggerating or distorting it so much that it cannot be defended and everyone would agree with it. So you make your opponent out to be complete wanko even though he isn't, and declare that you don't agree with his made up position. So the strawman fallacy usually presents one opponent's argument. Let's look at example. Please read and understand this example first. Okay, so who commit the strawman fallacy? Who want to answer? Zila? Fred. Okay, why? Why do you think Fred? Let's look at the explanation. Okay, Fred has committed the strawman fallacy. Okay. You can see here, okay, so Fred attacked a position that is not the position that Tom hold. So, okay, you can see Tom prioritized the funding for healthcare and education, and he also aimed to boost the economy. So, supporting healthcare and education does not always lead to fewer job creation. So, Fred attacked a position that is not the position that Tom hold, but is in fact a much less plausible and easier to refute position. So however, it would be silly for a political candidate to run on a platform that included harming the economy. Next example, another example. Maybe Aimal and Danish maybe can read.
I think we should increase benefits for unemployed single mothers during the first year after childbirth because they need sufficient money to provide medical care for their children.
So you believe we should give incentive to women to become single mothers and get a free ride from the tax money of hardworking citizens? This is just going to hurt our economy and our society in the long run.
Okay, so who commit the strawman fallacy?
Zain.
Yeah, correct. Okay, Zain has distorted Iman's argument. So Zain is suggesting that Iman want to give incentive to women to become single mothers which is not what he actually said. So Zain then attacked this distorted version of the argument rather than addressing Iman's actual argument. So in other words, strawman is the fallacy in argument that mispresent an opponent's argument to make it easier to attack. So for me,
Next we have derived from Latin phrase that can be translated into English as you too or you also. It is a strategy or a way of avoiding answering a criticism by bringing up a criticism of your opponent rather than answer the criticism. Okay, so this is example of fallacious copy. Suppose there are two political candidates, A and B, are discussing their policies. So A said, my plan is to increase the tax a bit, but your healthcare policy looks lacks specifics. How do you plan to tackle rising costs? So B answered, interesting point, but your plan could burden the middle class with increased taxes. How do you justify that? So this is fallacy because B did not answer the criticism brought by A. Instead, B come up with another criticism for A. So next we have example of not fallacious. The same political candidates as before. A said you are taking money from special interest group B. That is not right. So B answered, well A, let's not forget you do the same. In fact, every political candidate does. It's just how the campaign works. So here, it is not fallacious because A have criticism for B. But then, the criticism not only applicable to B, but also to everyone in this context, the political candidates. Next, we have genetic fallacy. It occurs when one argues that the origin of something is a reason for rejecting or accepting it. So there is two origins, which is negative and positive. For negative, Jack said, we should consider allowing physician-assisted suicide. It provides individuals with autonomy over their end-of-life decisions. So Jill answered that idea was used in Nazi Germany. It's a dangerous path. So the Nazi Germany is the negative origin because Jill is just assuming that it will be dangerous just because of the origin, the negative origin, which is Nazi Germany. So what she should have done instead is explain what exactly is wrong with the idea rather than simply assuming. So next we have positive origin. Jack said, this herbal treatment is fantastic. It comes from an ancient recipe passed down through generations. So Jill answered, just because it has an ancient origins does not necessarily mean it is effective. Let's evaluate its benefits based on modern research and evidence. So based on this example, where is the positive origin?
It comes from an ancient recipe.
Yes, correct. So last we have appeal to consequences. Appeal to consequences consists in the mistake of trying to accept the truth or reasonableness of an idea based on the consequences of accepting the idea. So example here, suppose that the results of a study reveal that there are IQ differences between different races. So integrating the results of the study, for instance, the result having when you have the lowest IQ among different races in Malaysia. So me as the researcher claim that the statement is false because if people did not accept that the statement of Malay having the lowest IQ is false, then there would be negative consequences, which is what would happen if we accept that Malay have the lowest IQ is true. What will happen?
The war begins.
Racism, right?
Yeah.
So this is fallacious because the true value of a hypothesis is affected by the consequences. So in order to make it not fallacious, the researchers can choose not to publish the study. So if the researcher is aware of the negative consequences. Move on to the next presenter, please.
So everyone, we are going to continue with the last one, which is the fallacious appeal to authority. So we also know that we know that how we need to depend on authority for certain information, such as when you are depending on authority for when you do not knowing about your car's condition. So you will rely on the expertise, such as the mechanics or someone that has expertise in knowledge about the car. So it is a logical fallacy when someone asserts that conclusion is true just because it has been stated by someone else who is not an authority on the matter. So it happens as this fallacious appeal to authority happens because a misleading argument relying on the perceived opinion of an authority without relevant expertise. So there are three types of misleading appeals to authority. First is misleading appeals. For example, a doctor opposing abortion doesn't automatically make abortion morally wrong because because it stresses the importance of relevance and qualified authorities for so like an opinion being serviced by an authority, that doesn't mean that it must be true all the time. So next is the qualification of authority. So it is about the genuine expert or the out of your authority. Because genuine expert deserve recognition, but their expertise is limited to their field. While out of field authority, like physicists or moral questions, like their expertise to make. And also there's false authority or cranks, because some claim they bring their expertise, yet they lack of knowledge because it relies on obscure sources. And they need to be we need to be aware of the same proclaimed authorities lacking in credibility in their focus area. There's also disagreement among experts because sometimes experts also has opposing opinions between each other, such as some experts holding a belief, such as a historian believes that humans probably live for thousands of years already. However, based on the paleontologist's finding, it might go against the historian's opinion. So, in general, an appeal to authority fallacy occurs when someone takes what an individual says as evidence for some claim. So, when that individual has no particular expertise in the relevant domain, even if they do have expertise in some other unrelated domain, it may not be true. So we need to embrace critical thinking to enhance our ability to navigate the complex information and make informed decisions. That's all for my statement.
Questions?
Okay, in slide 48 and 51, for the strongman fallacy, you
said wrongly presenting an opponent's point of view by exaggerating or distorting it so much. Would you agree that it goes in the same definition of gaslighting? So like in the example you say, you must say we should increase benefits for unemployed single mothers because they need money. And then said that, so you think we should give taxpayers money to mothers. So that's kind of like showing gaslighting.
I think it's not the same for gaslighting. But for comment, we must present the
So basically, straw man is an argument when someone mispresent or distort the opponent position. For gaslighting, it's more like psychological.
Thank you.
For example, for gaslighting, like you promised to help me with the project but you didn't. So the person B is gaslighting. I never said that. You must be remembering it wrong. You are too sensitive. So it's more like psychological. Strawman, we attack that person's position. Okay?
Understand.
I want to ask about type fallacies of language.
Which one?
Type. How do we differentiate the
Equivocation.
Evocations.
equivocation and ambiguity? Because the example given, both the example has the word that has meaning. So that's why the fallacies of language occur. So how do we differentiate the two types?
Okay, for the for participation, we all know that ambiguity we know the ambiguity that is a word of phrase that carries multiple meanings. But for the equivocation, the word that leads to misleading information. Okay, for the example, look, for the example, you know that meat, right? We know meat is healthy, but in this context, with meat, it leads to another another meaning of this of the information. But the ambiguity, a word that unclear.
You want example? Serious? Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question. So my question is, can you explain how the strawman fallacy might be employed in advertising campaign or social media?
advertiser A claims competitor B product is so outdated and inefficient that even they could come up with something better. So in reality, competitor B product may have some shortcoming, but the advertisement exaggerates them to make it easier to criticize.
Another example is imagine a company launching a new energy drink and claiming our product is the healthiest choice because unlike other brands, we don't use dangerous chemicals. Here, the strawman is employed by implying that all other energy drinks necessarily use harmful chemicals, oversimplifying the reality of ingredients used by different brands.
No more questions? No? Thank you everyone.
Ikut